This is Banging on the Drum. It is another beautiful day in West Central Wisconsin, and welcome to episode 135 of Banging on the Drum, where we are going to be breaking down the Packers shitting the bed on Monday Night Football. As always, I'm your host, P Dog, joined alongside our other host, M Dog. And remember to like, subscribe, download. Mike's getting some play these days. He's turning into a famous person. So like, subscribe, download. Mike's going to keep giving us the cheese to victory. But anyways, Mike, how you doing after you struck your recent little fame?
It's shitty. It felt pretty good earlier today when all that shit was kind of popping off a little bit. I do think it's like something to do with the Monday night game, right? That people are back at work, they're looking for something in the background, like they throw something like that out. That's what I think happened. Could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look at the stats too, because I don't know. Usually when we share stuff on Facebook, it does better, but I don't even think you shared that on Facebook.
I don't use Facebook for fucking anything, so I'm certain that I did not.
Yeah,
But I was feeling good earlier today, and now I'm feeling real shitty.
Yeah,
This fucking Packer game put me in a bad mood, and then I realized something about my fantasy teams, and now I'm just not. I might not be able to sleep all night, right? So we're recording pretty late tonight, and after the game, and I'm just gonna be angry. I'm gonna go lay in bed and think about how I could have changed the Packer game, and I just couldn't have done it.
Yeah, no, that was a brutal one. I am going to be 100% honest, and I was working during this. I did get to drive home during like halftime. The third quarter was starting, so like I didn't really get to lock into the game. I'm trying to think of the specific drive that I got to lock into the game with, but it was I think when the Giants scored to score 21 points. No, did that ever happen? Yeah. So I completely missed that touchdown too because I got back home and I had it on my phone and it was like I was watching the YouTube TV on my phone in my car, kind of, but like I was more just listening to the broadcast
Yeah,
because the local ESPN here has the Titans game on it. So I was like,
right.
I'm not going to fish around for that. I'm just going to put the YouTube TV and listen to Joe and Troy call the game on the way home. But yeah, definitely not a great game. Probably if I was watching the whole thing and getting to pay attention, we would have won it. But
Easy. Would have won
that,
easy,
that
easy
wasn't
for
the
sure.
case. So yeah,
Yeah.
rough one.
Right. Just a comedy of errors to some extent, I think is kind of the way you want to put it. But we'll do a quick rundown of what the actual game consisted of. So a few punts to start from both teams, and then the Giants miss a 48-yard field goal. Um, Green Bay's first significant drive, they get a gift first down to Wicks, so that the ball was already out of bounds when he reached it over the pylon. Is the way I'm understanding it. That one I did not see either. Just putting the kids to bed during that drive, and then 35-yard pass to Dillon, capped off with a 16-yard run by Reed for the touchdown. So go up 7-0 early. New York comes right back. They run a pretty big wildcat play that brings them down to like pretty close. And then Barkley ends up rushing it in for 7. Tied up 7-7 right there. Next up, Love fumbles. Next significant thing that happened, Love fumbles. They don't get points. Love throws a pick. They don't get points. Green Bay gets a fourth down stop, drives to the 18 and kicks a field goal up 10-7 at the half. Just really in position to like score some points, and then kind of just we fuck up right there, right, with Love fumble and picks.
Yeah,
It was the Love fumble was like a weird one where he should have probably went towards the sideline and he tried to cut it up. And if he goes towards the sideline, I think he gets the first down. He tries to cut it up, gets caught, fumbles the ball. Is what it is. I'll get into that Love pick a little bit later, I think too. But that one, I think if he throws that ball deep, he gets a penalty call at the very least. He gets a holding call. Where because he threw it short, they were like, well, we're not going to bail you out on this one. Anyway, up 10-7 at half. Come out. Green Bay gets a stop right out the jump, and then they fumble the punt. New York drives down, but Barkley gets a second TD. So Keyshawn Nixon, Keyshawn
yeah.
Nixon
He had a rough game.
fumbles it, lands on it, stands up, fumbles it again. And so, like, really just a comedy of errors. Like, the fact that he wanted to stand up and run. So we kind of love that attitude about him. Like, I'm going to get something out of whatever happens to me.
Yeah, I think
Like, if I get the ball in my hand, I'm going to score a touchdown. That's his life attitude. This time, it definitely did not work for him, right? Like, just terrible. They get their second TD. The Packers get the kick, 3 and out, I believe, and then they punt, and it bounces off of a New York Giant. The Packers recover. The Packers settle for a field goal here and are down 13-14. After this, New York Giants drive down immediately. Touchdown pass from Danny DeVito to Hodges. I'm not sure what Hodges' first name is. Giants are up 21-13.
I don't know. I was just guessing.
Ian Hodges. Yep. Duck Hodges, right? Like the old quarterback for the Steelers.
Yep. Old Duck.
Duck. Yeah. Anyway, the Packers drive down, have a chance at a 45-yard field goal and miss. So Love got sacked on this. It was 4th and 21. He got probably 11, 12-yard sack on that, which probably like makes it a lot harder for Carlson, my assumption. Sounded like the wind was pretty bad. Carlson looked like he was kicking them very flat, like more line drive type kicks than putting them up in the air. So I don't know.
Yeah, he lost 10 yards on that sack. So yeah.
Right. So it goes from a 35 to a 45-yard field goal. Could have made a fairly substantial difference. Not sure. Um, anyway, Packers give the ball up. Packers get the ball back. They drive down and get a field goal. Big pass play to Kraft. So Kraft had like a 47-yard or something like that reception. Catches it over the middle, breaks a tackle. 43. Catches over the middle, breaks a tackle, gets a setup. And that I feel like I am missing a field goal in there somewhere too. I think maybe the Packers drive. Oh no, they drive down and get a field goal on this, and then the score is 21-16. So Saquon has the ball and is going to be essentially putting the game away. He trips, lands on the ball, fumbles. Valentine picks it up, returns it for roughly 50 yards. And then the Packers kind of take their time, and Love throws a TD to Malik Heath with about like a minute 30 or so left. Both teams have 2 timeouts. So really, this isn't the best scenario to be in. But Malik Heath drops one early, and then I shouldn't say he gets it knocked out of his hands the first time. I think that's a touchdown, like by like the technical definition of the rule.
Yeah, maybe.
But I could see it going either way. Like I'm not arguing, well, we should have had that one. They do get a touchdown on a very close play on third down. They go for the 2-point conversion to Jaden Reed. They try like an end around to Jaden Reed. Does not work. Failed the 2-point. New York Giants drive down about as easy as I've seen most teams do it. I've seen Kansas City drive down like that, where like it doesn't take anything. Drive down, kick a 30-ish yard field goal. Wasn't a lot, and that was the end of the game. Very disappointing loss due to the fact that the Packers hung around in this, and then our defense kind of failed us late.
Yeah, I mean, there was rough games had by so many people. My boy, Keyshawn Nixon, like you said, had the fumble. Looked like he had some blown coverages, missed a couple tackles. Like, it just was not his best game out there. I know one of the tackles that they were like, oh, Keyshawn Nixon missed this tackle. It was a tough tackle, and like, it's Saquon Barkley, who I think is like the second most talented running back in the league. Like,
he's up there for sure.
But yeah, just so many crazy things. And I don't know, because we try to be like pretty optimistic, but it's tough. Like, it's tough for me not to be optimistic, but it is also tough to like see this game and then be like, okay, we still got a shot to like run the table and just make some noise in the playoffs. Because after we beat Kansas City, like it really felt that way. But if we can have a game like this, it doesn't look good. But that being said, like on a positive note, we fucked up every which way and still could have won this game.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, does that speak more to us or more to the Giants? I mean, we didn't give up a lot of points on like our turnovers, but man, the Giants, I assume that you're not very good if all those fuck ups happen. I guess they fucked up a few times too, but I don't know. It was a comedy of errors for the Packers. And I think that what honestly probably happened during this week is that the coaching staff was not emphasizing do the fundamentals correctly. Right? So going into the Lions game, it is you have to play a good brand of ball, right? Like this is a really good team. If we make mistakes, if we're doing jumping off sides, if we're turning the ball over, this is going to be a blowout again, just like the first time we faced them. So like that's the talking points during the week. Chargers, I'm guessing you're getting like kind of the same type of thing because you know that has to happen in Kansas City as well. And the talent on the Chargers team looks really, really good.
yeah, they look daunting, but yeah, they're turning into like an old Cowboys team for sure. It's like they got the stars, but they don't got the coach. You called that one out a long time ago. But yeah, I wouldn't like to believe in the NFL like that you would overlook games, but this definitely is
that's what it looks.
Yeah, it's a big letdown.
Like to me.
Big letdown spot. You just come off beating probably a top 3 team in the league.
Yep.
And you beat them like handily. Like everything goes right for you. You do everything right. You don't fuck up. You make them. I mean, that Chiefs game was in hand. I mean, you were there.
Well, so like everybody acts like the refs gave the game to the Packers. It was still 8 points. You couldn't change the outcome of that game with that drive, right? Like you can change the outcome after that drive. You can tie it, right, and like move on from there. But you can't change whether the Packers like lose in that moment, and you can't change whether you win in that drive. You can only prolong the game to try to change it later.
And I think you live on Twitter a little bit more than me. Like, whereas I don't hear that or feel that way because I mean it just is what it is. Like, Packers have had that happen to them in the past. Every team's had that happen to them in the past, whether they've benefited from a call like that or got screwed by a call like that. But if we're getting back to this game,
we should too because we can't live in the past on those glory days of last week.
Yeah, but I mean, if we get into strengths like we like to do, we'll just freestyle for you because we didn't really have much time to put this one together. But I would say a true strength is like what we were talking about before. We messed up a lot in this game, and then we still had an opportunity to win this game at the end. And
battled through it.
Yeah,
battled through it.
So I guess you would go with the strength there. Another strength has to be Kraft coming on, like to step up and just be like a big tight end. Because I mean, it's starting to be more heard of as these young tight ends coming in the league. I think it's with Laporta and I think Ferguson down in. I know he's not
Yeah,
a rookie.
Ferguson's been in for like 3 years though, maybe
Okay.
more.
Yeah.
I
So
think.
I thought it was his second year. So, but you know, it's usually the stereotypical thing like, oh, tight end needs 3 years
Yep.
in the league because they got to learn to block and catch and run routes
Yep.
and
They got to
things like
learn a
that.
whole different game, right? To some extent.
But yeah, Kraft looks like explosive, and he doesn't even he didn't seem to be the guy that we drafted to be that. Like,
Right.
and Musgrave seems great until he
Yep.
lacerated his spleen. That injury sounds
Kidney.
Holy shit, though, that sounds awful.
Yep. So I don't even understand like exactly how that happens in a football game. You know what I mean? I get that you're doing some major collisions, but I don't get that to some extent. But yeah. So another strength I thought I saw is that we're probably, if we need to play 5 deep, 6 deep in the wide receiver room, I think we're there.
Oh yeah.
So Wicks was out today. Watson's out today. Reed and Dobbs, are both kind of going to be mainstays. Toure and Heath both played okay. Like Dobbs and Toure both had balls in the end zone that you got to figure out how to get your feet down, right? Like Dobbs was the big one. He caught the ball. He stuck his left foot down, and like his right foot looked like it was almost going down, and then popped back up. Like didn't go, like almost looked like it was trending towards the ground,
Are you
and then
talking
it
about
did.
the dime on the sideline too? Like it was like Love was kind of like had to break the pocket,
Yeah,
and
I think so. Yeah.
he kind of got pushed out as well too. But yeah,
No, no, I understand that, but
yeah,
like Devontae Adams, his feet go down.
yeah.
Like that's just there's just guys in the league that understand their body really, really well, and I think that comes with time. I really do. Like I'm not like accusing him of like he's terrible because he didn't do this. I think
No,
that comes with time.
you're 100% right. If Packers want to take the step to be a great team, that play gets made. That's
Yep.
like it definitely looked like Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams with just like one hiccup of not getting the foot down, and maybe Love leaving the ball a little bit further outside. But I mean, he was under some heat when he was making that throw.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
beautiful. Like
Yep.
all things other than the
The
football.
actual outcome, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think like being resilient enough to say, all right, we're only down 8. Like let's go get points here. Drove down 3 times for the offense and got points, right? So I guess the Barkley fumble like is really helpful and you get a 50-yard return out of that. However, you drove in, you got the touchdown there. You drove down for 2 field goals. If you get both those field goals and then go get that touchdown, like that's a completely different game, right? So like they got to score a touchdown, which Joe Barry seems like they get it to the 25 and then they can stop them just fine. Like I did have pretty big issues with the way they played the last drive, and kind of the way they played. So opportunities, I guess, would be. We'll move on to opportunities before I start bitching about Joe Barry on this one. Right? Might as well.
No. I think we had a great transition from a strength to a weakness because the strength
Yeah.
was we were able to come back and put us ahead late in the game. Like
Right.
Love's got that in his bag. I mean,
it is strengths, weaknesses, and not
yeah.
opportunities. Yeah. So what am I doing?
And then the
Yeah. So I
weakness,
can start
the
bitching about
weakness.
Joe Barry.
Yeah.
So I think a weakness here was we did not prepare to let DeVito beat us through the passing game. We didn't prepare for that. We prepared to say, all right, like we're not going to chase him down, which I thought was silly. Like you should have been bringing probably 5 every time and letting Brooks and Wyatt and Clark just crash up the middle, make him start trying to run out and then chasing him down. I get that Walker wasn't there today, but you have to make DeVito beat you with his arm and not his legs. I didn't understand like I don't think we got a sack all night. And then the one we did, they counted it as a 1-yard QB rush loss.
Was that the one where it looked like Nixon might have got a penalty for the slide?
So Nixon should have got a penalty there. That's a penalty in almost every game in the NFL. I don't understand how he didn't. It doesn't matter if he hits the guy's head or not. He went to the ground with the guy. No, so like that's my indication of when you know that it's a penalty. If you like dive at his body at the ground level, right? So like if you're gonna make that tackle, you're not diving towards the ground. But like when people slide, these guys all dive at the ground to hit them. So I don't ever understand how like people are like, well, it's bang bang. He slid late. He didn't. He didn't slide late enough for the guy not to decide to put his body down.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that like that's a penalty
Yeah.
95% of the time, but I also agree with the fact that it wasn't a penalty. Like I
I
think
didn't
even
care. I just think you throw the flag on that.
Yeah, no, usually you see a flag come at that, but the ref in the box actually had our back on that one, and he was just like, no, it looked like
It was not
like
helmet to helmet.
Yeah.
Like if you were going to call like a targeting or whatever, I don't know what the call is in the NFL. It wasn't that.
Yeah. No, but I even think like sometimes when you're sliding that late, like I think Nixon was already on him, but I mean that's not here nor there. That like ended up not being like that big of a play in the game.
Right.
But
So other weaknesses that you saw.
weaknesses, God, I'm such a good strengths guy, but I mean, it kind of got kicked back to like undisciplinedness. So like I had to watch a little bit like early in the game. Our special teams penalties are bad. Our special teams is pretty fucking bad. And what was the other one that I was gonna say? But I mean, false start early. Thankfully, we got them to jump off sides like to get it right back. But oh yeah, and Carlson missing a field goal. So special teams, huge weakness right now. Because if Carlson's hitting those kicks, it's a different game. I also think we got a little like excited about watching these Jaden Reed runs work, and we just went to the well too many times. But
Right.
that's something like where beggars can't be choosers. We were asking LaFleur to get like creative, but then I think he dipped into it, and then he was like, "Well, that worked like 3 times,
Yeah.
so it's probably going to work 100 times." And then it was just like predictable by the end of the game. Like that
He
last two
Yeah,
point
the last one was
conversion.
well, the one before that was really bad.
Yeah,
Like he was like 6 yards deep, and the guy was standing in the way, right? But the last 2 point conversion was kind. You almost need to run that with like Kraft on that 2 point conversion because it gets all congested in that corner, and he might be able to blow that up. Or Dylan, right? A guy that's got a little bit of size, where Reed doesn't have like true size. He's probably like my size, and that's not big enough for the NFL.
yeah, no, he packed a little bit of a punch on one of his. I can't remember if it was a
Yeah,
reception or a run, but I think it was a run. But yeah,
packing a punch against a safety or a corner is different
yeah,
than a linebacker, though.
for sure. It was definitely a small guy that didn't, and it was you could tell he was like, oh, he's probably gonna run out of bounds, and then like he decided not to run out of bounds, so ran him
Yeah,
over. So it was kind of
yeah.
a, I wouldn't say a cheap shot, but like he caught him off guard for sure. But yeah, I would say that that's a weakness. Is just we did get creative with play calling, but then it was just like we tried to
Almost too
get
much.
yeah
Yeah.
too cute after a while.
Um, yeah, so I think play calling can kind of be there. I do think that the accuracy from Jordan Love in this game, not sure why it was as negative as it was, but early in this game, he was very rough throwing the ball. He had open looks and he just not hitting guys. And I don't want to call that necessarily weakness, but he wasn't doing that the last 3 weeks. And if he's not going to play like that, the team around him has to play good. So you can't have like the special teams drop. You can't have the missed kicks. You can't have a defense that doesn't get sacks. You can't have a defense that isn't creating turnovers, right? So we didn't create either turnover. The kickoff or the punt, we don't create that. Like that's just an idiot standing under a punt. Like he didn't know where the ball was. I shouldn't call him an idiot like that. Could happen to most people, I think. And then
It sounded like it was
Barkley,
windy. It happened twice in that game too, so it was
yeah.
probably a tough game to track
But
punts.
so like it didn't actually happen twice. Nixon dropped it catch.
Okay,
That one feels like a windy, like it moved on me like as it's coming in. Right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like it's knuckling down and then it moves on me. The other one, like he just gets under it and it hits him.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
you know what I mean? Like he's like running and it like just it hits him
yeah,
as he's running. And so like I can see where that's kind of like just a goofy play, right? That maybe you're right. Maybe it does have something to do with the wind holding the ball up or whatever it is, where normally you can read what a punter is going to do. But anyway, we didn't force either turnover. We didn't force that one. We didn't force the one from Barkley. Barkley just makes it like you say, he's like one of the top like 2 or 3 physically gifted running backs in the league, and he does something like that, right? So just like kind of like I'm trying to do too much type thing, and then
yeah.
pisses away. Like and I don't think, especially players do this. Coaches, I guess, could, but especially players do not do this, right? Uh, like I could have saw that as like a throwing the game moment, right?
Oh, gotcha.
Right,
Yeah,
like he falls over, the ball pops out, and all of a sudden they're going the other way. But like that's just the like conspiracy theory, Mike, just popping out there
yeah.
for a moment in my brain.
No, and that fumble by Barkley was like you can see that happen to anybody. It's kind of like
Yeah, yep.
he fell over, and then it's kind of one of those like reactions where sure he was still like kind of holding on to the ball, but I think like your body tells you like, oh, I got to catch myself type deal,
Yeah,
and
yep.
then that ball comes out as well. But I honestly even seen when he got tripped up, like I was like, I did not think they were going to call that a fumble. I
Neither
think
did I. I didn't think there was any chance, and then I thought for sure those other 2 guys hit him, but
yeah,
they jumped over. Like somebody on Twitter said, like whoever it was missed the tackle so bad that he wasn't even down. Right,
no,
like
yeah, I don't know because I don't think that was a smart play either. Like
that
it
was not a
turned
good play by the Packers. It was fucking terrible.
yeah,
Like you
but
just run into him, lay on him. You should have fell on him. Don't jump over him. Like just lay on him.
yeah, no, I did not get why he didn't touch him, and I was like, was he that smart to think like, oh, he might drop the ball if I touch him? Like, I don't think so, but
I
like
wouldn't imagine so.
that crossed my mind a little bit. But yeah, so we are on weaknesses. So we had play calling for weaknesses. Um, yeah, defensive play calling. Obviously, that last drive.
Yep.
Defense in general was bad. Special teams was bad.
Rush defense, I think, is probably one of the biggest weaknesses they have week in and week out. If we're ahead, it doesn't affect us as bad, right? Which we've been ahead the last 3 weeks, and that's part of the reason that we're getting wins is because we're ahead and we don't have to defend against the run in the same way.
And then that will transition to a smooth opportunity because a big guy in the run game was out this game in Quay Walker.
Yep.
And it seems like Devondre Campbell and Quay Walker are both like pretty hurt, and then they're just like taking each other out. They're like a tag team wrestling match
Yep.
right
And
there. Like,
McDuffie's good. Isaiah McDuffie is
yeah,
good.
he had a good game.
Yeah, he's fine. Like he's just not quite what those other 2 guys are.
Yeah, he's definitely a good guy. Like to give a breather, I'm sure it's
Yep.
like a special teams just monster. I would assume, like in kick coverage or punt coverage. I don't know that for a fact, but I would assume if you're the third string middle linebacker, you're
Yeah.
probably a mean bastard that can get down the field and make a tackle.
Other
So
opportunities I think are like just cleaning up the game. And I think that comes down to coaching, like what your narrative is throughout the week. We have to be perfect the rest of the way to make the playoffs. Like, and if you have that narrative and you practice in that way, like we don't fuck up, we don't make mistakes. We're going to like line up, do everything right. And we keep the penalties down to like, I don't know, 15 yards for the game instead of 50. Like
yeah,
might be okay. Might be okay. And
yeah,
then the turnovers as well, I guess. But
Yeah, and I'm gonna hammer some more opportunities in the cheapest possible way.
Nice.
Christian Watson is gone for this game. Aaron
Jones.
Jones is
Yep.
gone for this game.
Alexander.
So four of our best players are not on the field for this game. And I mean Bakhtiari, obviously, we know he's gonna be out, but
Stokes. I mean, so if we're gonna go like that deep, like Bakhtiari and Stokes, like you throw that on there.
yeah.
Well,
And I guess
but I
I
don't
wouldn't
like
say
I
that
don't consider them out anymore. Like your team has to adjust to what that is now.
but that's the thing is like where it won't be an opportunity because like those guys are gone. Like an
Yeah.
opportunity is we're gonna have Watson, Jones, and Alexander and Quay Walker back on the field before
Yep.
this season's over. So
Right.
if we have a fully healthy team going into the playoffs, we might be able to make a little bit of noise depending where we get seated. Because I mean, there's some monsters in the NFC North that emerged this week. I think in the Cowboys in San Francisco is, I mean, they didn't emerge this week, but me watching the Cowboys handle the
Yeah.
Eagles like they did, I was like, I don't
Very.
want the
It
Packers.
surprised me a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, nope, they're for real, for real. And did you see? So that we're gonna tie the Cowboys and the Packers real quick. Al Harris is their cornerbacks coach.
Yeah, I have seen that.
I did not know that.
I think
That might,
that's a failure on the Packers to not scoop him up. I guess he probably played for McCarthy for a bit
yeah, yeah. I
because Harris was not on the Super Bowl teams.
no, it was Williams, Tremont Williams, and James Shields, maybe. I
Sam
think
Shield.
Shields was Sam Shields was
Yeah. Okay.
like one of the third guys, but yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think Al Harris and Mike McKenzie and Darren Sharper were like.
Mike McKenzie, Darren Sharp. Don't mention that fucking piece of shit. Jesus.
I'm still waiting for the documentary. Wow, I can't even say that word.
Yeah.
The
The
Netflix.
doc
Yeah,
on Darren Sharper. You think they'll ever? So I bet you like the NFL like would not give up anything on that.
I know. I think they should. I mean, the Aaron Hernandez shit like puts it to shame, and I feel like that was kind of like an open book. I never ended up watching that one, but the Darren Sharper story,
But is there any NFL shit in the Hernandez one?
I couldn't tell you because I didn't watch it. But I am just saying, like, it's super super odd that I know so little about it, and I feel like it got swept under the rug. Maybe I'm just misremembering, but
I don't remember a lot of it being like uh publicized on what exactly happened. I know that it would like, but maybe it's because it's a happening in New Orleans, right? So that's where he goes to prison or Arizona or something. He's not in a Wisconsin state prison.
yeah, I have no clue. We are straying from the path a little bit, but I don't know if like the Viking sex boat thing. I don't even know much about that. I think maybe I was a little young for that, but I can't remember if Darren Sharper was part of that.
Could have
No,
been, right? I
yeah,
forget that he played for the Vikes for a bit after he left the Packers.
yeah, no, that's where they learn how to do scumbag as shit. Is over in Minneapolis.
Well, yeah, I mean, probably.
Okay,
But
where were we? Al Harris was the yeah,
Al Harris, yeah, Al Harris is the DB coach for the
Cowboys.
Cowboys. And like, is that not exactly the way Al Harris would play? Like, he was a ball hawk, like a guy who just
Yeah,
like,
I
and that's the way their corners play. I think Dan Quinn like pushes for shit like that too. But
yeah, they were saying in the broadcast like he doesn't even really like coach like technique or anything. He's just more of watch what these receivers are doing, like learn, get like some cues on. But I don't feel like Al Harris played like that. Like I guess he probably did a little bit, but he was more like just put me one on one with the best receiver on the field, and I'm gonna make their day hell. And I mean, don't get me wrong, he wasn't. He was like a Pro Bowler, maybe like a two-time Pro Bowler. I don't even know if he made two Pro Bowls, but like he was that talent level. But it wasn't like Revis Island or Champ Bailey or not that those guys are playing the same way as him. But I do
he
remember,
was very physical. Like, he was not a guy that like you could just go and get off the line with. He didn't.
not
He
at
would
all.
not go well in Joe Barry's defense. Him and Joe Barry's defense would not mix well.
Oh no, he would knock Joe Barry out just to prove a point there. Because I remember Calvin Johnson. I've said this on the podcast before, but I listened to a Calvin Johnson interview, and he was like, "Who's your least favorite cornerback to play against in the NFL?" And he was like, "Hands down, Al Harris." He was like,
Nice.
I didn't know what the NFL was until I played a cornerback like Al Harris. That was knew I was like bigger and stronger and talented, more talented than him. That was just gonna fucking just
And
try
he
to
didn't
beat
give
the
a fuck
shit.
at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like just try to
Right.
beat him up. But yeah, I think we're on opportunities. So
Yeah, probably there. Opportunities hire Al Harris to be your cornerbacks coach, I guess, right?
I think so. Your
Yeah.
defensive coordinator, maybe.
Yeah, scoop him up. Bring Jim Leonard back up. Fuck
Yeah,
him. Yeah, opportunities. So this game gave you everything for opportunities because you played so poorly. Your next game, like you almost can't play that bad again.
yeah. Get all the kinks
Challenge
out.
accepted. If someone says fucking hold my beer on this, I'm gonna lose my
Yeah.
mind. But
No, we definitely are in the perfect part of the Packers carousel where we name an episode like everything's Wisconsin, baby. And then like
oh yeah, yeah.
then the Bucks lose or then the
Wisconsin sports is hot, and then Bucks don't beat the fucking Pacers. The
yeah,
Packers shit the bed tonight.
Badgers get their ass whooped in Arizona.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah. Shit.
so yeah, we
All right.
definitely
So
just we're avoiding that from now on.
Wisconsin sports are on the turnaround.
Yeah,
They're
they
on the come
turn
up because they can't go any fucking lower.
yeah.
Threats. I guess threats are that like they don't fix the penalties. You choose to like just ride with what we're rolling with here, and that's not okay either.
I want to do one more opportunity because I think it is still an opportunity. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. We're
Okay.
kind of in control of our own destiny, I think, at
We
this
are.
point
Yeah.
still.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so that's
So we're
what I
at like
think.
a 53% chance of making the playoffs, which, depending on who wins and who loses, like that's like we'll maintain, right? And if we win, then we stay in.
Yeah. And, but our over this weekend, our schedule went to like from super soft to like, okay, the Buccaneers are playing for something now. They're tied for the lead in the South.
Yep.
So they're going to get scrappier.
The
The
Vikings are a wild card team currently.
Yeah,
We got
and
them.
they look like they're willing to scratch, claw, kick, scream, win a game any way that they can. I
Yep.
respect the living shit out of the way the Vikings won 3-0 this weekend. Like that's
Speaking of that, like
insane.
how dumb of an offensive coordinator do the Raiders have? You have Devontae Adams on your team. Just throw him the fucking ball.
Yeah,
Like
I
I don't
didn't.
get that. Like that's what the Packers did for like the last like 3 years. Oh, the only guy I feel like I got on my team is Devontae Adams. All right, I'll just chuck it to him 17 times. You got to do that shit sometimes.
Yeah, and I didn't get to see much of that game. I didn't get to watch much like football this weekend. But Panthers still don't look too tough. But yeah, like you said, the Vikings are in the picture, and the Bears whoop the shit out of Detroit and look like they're trying to win games to save jobs in Chicago. And that's
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
their
yeah.
Super Bowl at the end of the year.
We'll be the
Is
Packer game. Yeah,
yeah,
yep, for sure.
like if you beat the Packers in that last game of the season, you can save a lot of people's jobs in
Oh yeah,
Chicago.
like you probably saved the head coach's job if you beat the Packers in the last game.
Yeah, so yeah, that those are threats now too. So hey, good transition, Mike. We did the
Yeah, we did
opportunity.
it. We
Yeah,
did it.
that was
Uh,
threat then. Yeah,
all
damn,
right.
that was
I
transition.
don't think we got to get too far. That's the Packers in a nutshell. This game was just is shitburger at its finest, and we're going to turn back into the team we were the last 3 games because we have to be that team.
Yeah,
And I think that's what's going to drive this team is like need to play a certain way. They're too young to not have good solid leadership coaching them into playing at a high level all the time. And I think that's what we're lacking. I think that we've been lacking that most of the season. LaFleur has gotten a little bit better at that stuff, like being the asshole, but for the most part, we still don't have the leadership to be like, buckle down, let's do this, and let's move on.
yeah. And I mean, rough game today, but also just put it on the list of one score losses for the Packers.
Yep.
And if you look at the whole schedule so far, we've only got our ass whooped 2 times,
Yep.
and we redeemed one of those in going out and handling Detroit in a game that the scoreboard showed a closer score than the game actually
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
my opinion. And we get another opportunity to do that against the Vikings. So yeah, I haven't lost complete hope, but it does seem like the NFC is definitely San Francisco, the Cowboys drop a little bit, the Eagles drop a little bit more, and then I think we're in those teams' realms. So I
Yeah.
think
So I think you're shitting on the Eagles a little bit too much as well because we watched San Francisco just get stomped 3 weeks in a row. I get that they're at a guy out or whatever, but like we watch them get stomped 3 times in a row, and then they've looked like world beaters. Like nobody can touch them the last 2 or 3 weeks, right? We watched the Cowboys go to Arizona and get beat. We watched the Cowboys go into San Francisco and just get stomped. And now, like, they're looking like world beaters. I think the Eagles can make that transition
yeah,
and
I
be
mean
those guys, right?
they
And so
could,
I don't think that you
but
knock them down right here.
Mike, look at who the 2 teams I put a peg above them.
No, I
And
understand what you're saying. They just got beat, but like the
no,
Cowboys looked like that against the Niners too.
but no, Mike. So direct correlation here. The Eagles get their ass whooped against the 49ers, they get their ass whooped against the Cowboys, and then they
I get
drop
that.
down a
So, but
step.
like,
So you would
look
you
at
would put the Eagles above them
no.
after they
So
get their
I think they're all 3 in the same tier. They're all the same team.
yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles made it back to the Super Bowl. So yeah, no, I think you are right, but I mean my
I
reasoning
get that they
behind
just got fucking stomped by both those teams. I get that. I understand it, but like that could just be the 3 game stretch that they're in that the Cowboys and the Niners have already both experienced.
yeah, no, and I think when you just start going like back to back in like a gauntlet of things, shit like that can happen. Like you kind of lose
Yep.
faith. And now I think I don't know, we're not an Eagles podcast, but I think they got a fairly soft schedule coming up. I mean, they got the Seahawks next week, but yeah, they could definitely, bring in the FCS teams and get their shit together, like work some things
Yeah.
out and be ready for the playoffs. But yeah,
It don't matter. So
back,
like yeah, getting back to the Packers here. I do think that we could be called the Positive Packers podcast. We could have went with that right off the jump. We're never negative on the fucking team.
no, I mean, we were negative as you need to be on this game. It was just a shitty game. I will say it it showed like a lot of holes that I don't think I'm going to be able to overlook like I did in the past, where I was like, oh, Aaron Rodgers will cover this up. Like the prime example, I think that we lean back on all the time is when Chris Jackie told us if they don't fix the special teams, they ain't going to do shit in the playoffs. And we both were like, yeah, and we
whatever,
both were
man.
kind of,
You don't know shit.
yeah,
He was right.
Yeah, so they definitely have holes to fix. They have games to do it in, and they have decent opponents to test them. So
yep.
So not a good game this week, but I am holding off faith for a little shake in the playoffs. And maybe it was a good thing. Maybe we can say it was a good thing to get the loss out of the way early instead of get too high on this.
Yeah, give us a little reality check going back into our division games, right?
Yep.
I mean, so we got a couple before we get there. We got at least the Bucks yet, but
yeah. All right, you ready to wrap this baby up?
let's wrap it up.
All right, so thank you for the support. Please like, subscribe, download, share. We got to beat Mike's solo video of getting 210 because I'm feeling left out.
244 last time I checked.
244. Damn, Mike.
Yeah.
Mike is on the rise over here. But like I said, we love you guys. We appreciate the support. And what do you got for him, Mike?
If you're doubting the Bucks, the Badgers, the Brewers, or the Packers, you can eat our shorts. Roll it.
All them suckers that doubted the Packers can't need my shows. All them suckers that doubted the Packers can't eat my shows. Beat them. All them suckers that doubted the Packers can't eat my shows. Eat my shows.